The Biafra War, also known as the Nigerian Civil War, was fought between July 1967 and January 1970. Sparked by a secessionist, the war ultimately cost over 1 million lives, and movement in southeastern Nigeria became one of the first modern conflicts to feature global media coverage of a humanitarian crisis. Background and causes. Nigeria gained independence from British rule in 1960, uniting a diverse population under one flag, but inherited deep-seated regional, ethnic, and religious divisions. The country was divided among 3 major ethnic groups. 1. The Hausa Fulani. The Hausa Fulani were predominantly Muslim and occupied the northern region. 2. The Yoruba, mainly in the southwest. And 3. The Igbo in the southeast. These groups not only had distinct identities, but also conflicting economic and political interests. The colonial practice of indirect rule had further entrenched these divisions, leading to regional inequalities and setting the stage for future unrest. Nigeria's early years after independence were marked by intense political competition and corruption. Tensions came to a head in 1966 when a coup led by mostly Igbo officers overthrew the federal government, resulting in the deaths of several northern leaders. The coup was perceived in the north as an Igbo-led attempt to dominate the country, intensifying ethnic resentment. Shortly after, a counter-coup installed Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, a northern officer, as Nigeria's head of state. This was followed by a wave of violence against Igbos living in the north, leading to mass killings and displacement. The secession of Biafra, faced with increasing violence and marginalization, the Igbo-led Eastern region declared its independence on May 30, 1967, under the leadership of Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, and the Republic of Biafra was born. Ojukwu and other Biafran leaders argued that the Nigerian government had failed to protect Igbo citizens and that independence was necessary to ensure their safety and prosperity. The eastern region, which was rich in oil resources, was crucial to Nigeria's economy, and the federal government, led by Gowon, was determined to prevent its secession. Outbreak of war. The Nigerian government declared Biafra's secession illegal and launched a military campaign on July 6, 1967, to bring the breakaway region back under its control. Initially, Biafran forces achieved some success, even capturing parts of the Midwest region. However, Nigeria's superior military strength, bolstered by support from allies including the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, soon turned the tide. The Nigerian military adopted a strategy of gradual encirclement, squeezing Biafra's territory smaller and smaller. The blockade and humanitarian crisis. One of the Nigerian government's most devastating tactics was the economic blockade imposed on Biafra. This embargo cut off food, medical supplies, and other essential resources from reaching Biafran civilians. As a result, Biafra faced a catastrophic humanitarian crisis, with widespread starvation and disease killing countless people, particularly children. The humanitarian crisis in Biafra marked one of the earliest instances of a large-scale humanitarian disaster receiving sustained media coverage. International organizations such as the Red Cross and UNICEF tried to deliver food and medical aid to Biafran civilians, but the Nigerian government resisted these efforts, viewing them as indirect support for the Biafran cause. The blockade's effects drew global sympathy and prompted relief efforts from religious groups, humanitarian organizations, and private individuals. International response and support. Despite its military disadvantage, Biafra garnered some international support, although it was not enough to turn the tide of the war. France, for instance, provided limited arms and supplies to Biafra, partly out of economic interest in Biafra, all and partly to weaken British influence in Nigeria. Other countries, such as Israel, Portugal, and apartheid-era South Africa, also offered covert support to Biafra, while the United States maintained a policy of non-intervention. The Biafra War became one of the first conflicts to be profoundly influenced by international media coverage. Western news outlets prominently covered the famine and suffering in Biafra, leading to global awareness and widespread public support for the Biafran cause. Even though official governments mostly backed Nigeria,